Hello everybody, this is Christian Thomas and I am coming at you with another video, and this video is going to be about if I support Donald Trump. And I'm going to give you all of my positions, or as many as possible, in the short amount of time that I have to make this video. First and foremost, the question, do I support Donald Trump? That's such a complex question because Donald Trump, like any other president, has many positions that I agree with and many positions that I disagree with. And I'm going to start with the positions that I agree with Trump on. I agree with Trump on the fact that we need to be stricter on legal immigration, but at the same time, I am not 100% sure if building a wall is the most practical thing, because anybody can find a way to get through that wall if they so chose to. And I also agree with Trump and conservatives on wanting to lower taxes. And I also agree with Trump on how people should be politically incorrect and people should have free speech. And we should be able to say whatever it is that we want without fearing that we will hurt somebody's feelings. And I also agree, and I also like his nationalist attitude. I like how he likes to put America first, and then there are also some things that I disagree with and that I dislike about Trump. And something that I dislike about Trump is that he can be very impulsive when he says stuff. I know everybody has that problem, but the thing about Donald Trump is that he kind of goes overboard sometimes, and especially when he gets into these little petty fights with celebrities and stuff on Twitter. And with his impulsive language and his unfiltered opinions, I don't necessarily like that, but at the same time, I find it entertaining and I find it to a certain degree refreshing, because he's not afraid to say whatever it is that's on his mind. But at the same time, I can see how that can trigger some people, because he may say something and it may come out wrong. Like, for example, back in November, early December or something, where he was talking to the Native Americans, and when he was referencing Elizabeth Warren and he made the Pocahontas comment, I can see how certain individuals who are listening to that, I can see how people can take that as him insulting Native Americans. And to my understanding, Pocahontas isn't a racial term. And but with that aside, before I go off on a tangent, another thing that I disagree with Trump on is climate change. He and many other Republicans don't believe climate change exists, in spite of the fact that studies have been proven over and over again that it does. And just take an overall look at our environment, at our weather patterns and stuff like that. There is no way in hell that you should have a warm day on Thanksgiving or Christmas or in January. And the funny thing is, especially in Georgia, one day it might be snowing, the next day it might be hot. And that shouldn't be like that in January. And I also disagree. Actually, with this one, I partly agree, partly disagree, is Trump's transgender military ban. I agree with this because gender dysphoria is classified as a psychological condition. I am pro-trans to the core, 100%, but at the same time, I do understand that gender dysphoria is a psychological condition to where an individual may feel like they were born the wrong gender, feel like they were born in the wrong body, or so to speak. But on that level, I do understand Trump wanting to ban transgender people, but at the same time, I can understand why people on the left or people in the anti-Trump crowd got triggered by this. And this brings me to my next point. My overall attitude is that if they are otherwise physically and mentally able to serve, I don't really see much reason for them not to if that's what they choose to do. And overall, being in the military is a privilege, not a right. And the thing is about supporting Donald Trump, I honestly don't support any type of person per se, because different people have different attitudes and different people have different ideas and stuff like that. I'm more interested in Trump's ideas than I am his personality. If you're looking at his personality, people may argue that he's an asshole, but you can't ignore the fact that he's trying to put different policies in place, and he's trying to build programs for our veterans and like build different and stricter protocol for illegal immigrants coming into the country. And people strawman him at every turn, and it's annoying, anywhere from Facebook to the news or whatever. And my thing is that everybody should try to be as nuanced as possible. And what's been going on lately is the incessant polarization of the media. We have many right-leaning people who blindly support everything that Trump does, and we have many left-leaning people who blindly criticize everything that Trump does. And I think there is room for both. I think there is room for him to be criticized, and I think there is room for him to be commended. Things that I criticize him for are his position on climate change, and also to a large extent his idea of building the wall and having Mexico pay for it, because that it wasn't really Mexico's proposition to build a wall to begin with. It was up to us, especially the ones that voted for Trump. I didn't vote for Trump at the time of the election because I had my feelings about him, and I was in complete hate mode because that's what I was expected to do. And looking back on things now, I don't completely hate Trump. Trump does and says things that I disagree with, to the point where it's hard for me to keep up with everything. But at the same time, I acknowledge the fact that Trump does care about the American people. Trump does want to bring jobs into the country, and he wants to make sure American citizens get what they need first. And I think the problem with the Bush election and the Obama election is that they emphasized the immigrants. They put, I think to a certain degree, they placed the priorities of immigrants over the priorities of American citizens. And people say that we should help out refugees and immigrants and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, that's a good idea and I'm all for that. But at the same time, many of our own American people are struggling like no tomorrow. Many Americans are unemployed. Many Americans are uneducated. Many Americans are in poor schools. Many Americans are locked up for petty crimes. Many Americans are in broken homes. Many American veterans are lacking the resources that they need to get back on their feet. If we can't provide resources to the people that fought for our country, what the heck makes you think that we should kowtow to immigrants? I'm not talking legal immigrants here. I'm talking illegal immigrants. Why do you think we should kowtow to people who are not here legally? That makes absolutely no sense. Well, everybody's an immigrant. If they're not doing anything wrong, then we shouldn't worry. And it's not so much the fact of right or wrong. It kind of is, but at the same time, it's not so much the fact of whether or not somebody's committing crime. Is that if an immigrant is, if we have too many illegal immigrants, if we could run into a number of problems. We can run into crime, which has already been proven. Yeah, you see it all the time. And when Donald Trump made his comment about Mexican immigrants, people strawmanned him and said that he's racist against Mexicans, when he was really talking about immigrants from Mexico. A lot of them were violent thugs, to be quite honest, and they were bringing in drugs. If you look at a lot of these drug raids, a lot of it's coming from Mexico, especially like cocaine, heroin, and all kinds of narcotics. They're coming in drones, and Donald Trump is trying to put a stop to it. I acknowledge that much. And also, you run into overpopulation. And what I mean by overpopulation is that we may end up with too many people in the country. We don't have enough space. That's what's been going on in countries like China and India and so forth, is the overpopulation problem. And also, with illegal immigration, we run into clashes of culture. For example, if you look at Islamic culture, a lot of their ideals are not compatible with ours, because Sharia law has things within it that we just don't mesh with, such as oppression of women and LGBT people and stuff like that. These are the very same things that many people on the left claim to hold dear, but yet too many of them kowtow to Islam. And when Trump placed his travel ban, they called him a racist, as if Islam's a race. And yeah, going back to whether or not I support Trump, he also does some more stuff that I disagree with, such as releasing the airstrikes on Syria and dropping the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan. I don't think that those things were the best things to do, if that makes sense. I think those were really stupid and potentially could have been dangerous. And with that said, I found it very fitting to do this video after Trump has been in office for a little bit over a year, and quite honestly, even though Trump's made a lot of mistakes, and I'm sure he's gonna make plenty more of them, as everybody does, it's not going nearly as bad as I originally thought. And one last thing that I greatly appreciate about Donald J. Trump is that the black unemployment rate is at an all-time low. And it's lower than the Bush years or even the Obama years. Don't get me wrong, Obama has helped a lot with the unemployment and the economy and stuff like that. And from the looks of things, it looks like Donald Trump is going to continue on that trend, if not make it better. And if you like this video, please give it a like, comment, subscribe, and share. And peace out. See y'all in the next video.